Hi, readers. So some of you have probably seen me in some of the chats. Most of you have probably chatted with me during the live chats in the comment section. Always love reading those. I'm admin KJ, and I will be taking over admin LJ's role, hosting the live chats. I'm very excited for all of your questions this evening and to have fun with you all on in the upcoming chats. And yeah, I can't wait. Admin LJ did want me to pass along a note to you all. Some of you may have seen in the chat. She says, as the Dr. Seuss quote says, don't cry because it's over, smile because it happened. I started this book club with a hope and a dream 6 years ago and could not have imagined how it would change my life. I have loved my time as your head admin, all the laughs, tears, and times I wanted to hide under blankets because you all made me read a super scary book, like the book we have today. It all means the world to me. I'm so proud of this community and what it has become, and I cannot wait to see it continue growing under the guidance of your new admins. Don't worry, y'all aren't getting rid of me completely. I will be lurking and looking for book recs, so hit me with those must-read romances as often as you can. And it's not goodbye, it's a new chapter. So I just wanted to share that with y'all because I know how much she loves the book club community. So today we have the perfect author chat to get ready for Halloween. Who else is getting their costumes last minute finished? That would be me. Lisa Childs is an award-winning New York Times and USA Today bestselling author, and her newest novel, The House by the Cemetery, is our October BTC book club pick. It's 6 Feet Under meets Succession and is a gothic suspense novel following a young woman who returns home for her father's funeral. Is there any other better way to get ready for spooky season? I don't think so. We were just talking about how creepy the cover is too. So without further ado, please help me welcome Lisa Childs to our chat today. Hi, Lisa. How are you today?
Good. How are you?
Doing good. So I did give just a quick synopsis about the book, but if you want to kind of explain a little bit more to the readers and dive into it some more, I know some of our readers would appreciate that.
This book has been kind of floating around in my head for a long time. I loved being a Halloween baby myself. That's when I was born. I've always kind of been drawn to, the spooky, just elements of, the ghost stories. And then I even hung out as a teenager, hung out in the cemetery like the teenagers hang out here. And I actually knew a man who was a grave digger in real life. I had a weekend job at a restaurant when I was going to high school, and I was near where the cemetery was, and he would come into the restaurant along with the grave digger or grave vaulters who had all their morbid jokes about, we'll be the last ones to let you down, and
That was a good
yes, those things all really happened. And for my high school graduation, I needed to do community service. So I started cleaning the gravedigger's house. And that's where Lyle McGinty comes from, is a real life person. And he was, one of those larger than life personalities. So that just kind of, he had to be in this book. So and then the family dynamics, I'm the youngest of 7. So that's where that came from too. Just having the big family. Now I have a blended family of my own, so all those different dynamics come into play.
Nice. Yeah. I do appreciate the last person to let you down. It's a very punny joke. It's great. No, and then the dynamics. I only have my little sister, but I can see plenty of the sibling chatter in there in the book, which is yeah. I was like, my little sister, she's a hoot. Yeah, so thank you so much for telling us a little bit about the book. And thank you so much for coming today. So let's get started. I know we have some questions coming in. I'm going to start off with my own first real quick. So you mentioned about the family dynamics in the synopsis. You also blend it with the gothic suspense. So what inspired you to mix the themes of wealth, power, and inheritance with the eerie elements of the gothic aspects of your novel?
I grew up reading Phyllis Whitney books, and it was always that gothic, always had some type of situation with family or an inheritance, and Agatha Christie fan from way back too, and just I love the dynamics of these complex families, and who can you trust.
Mhm.
And then it's just Succession is so popular. I saw a review for this came out today on Goodreads, and somebody said it was like Dallas set in a cemetery instead of an oil yard. And, that's just it's fascinating. How people change for greed. How
Yeah.
greed can affect families, and that's definitely just been. Element that I like writing about is the different, can you trust, who can you trust, and that kind of thing. So that's where that came from, with blending those elements into here. So it's who is the killer? Is it a member of the family? Is it somebody else?
Yeah, I know. I was constantly guessing. I was like, I thought I knew who it was, and I did not know who it was, which is amazing. But I was like, I'm pretty convinced. And then I was like, is it? I don't know. Hold, sorry. I think I'm getting some turning off. Sorry. I had some technical issues. Yeah. So I love, I know it really does bring out what people will do and kind of heightens those motives and everything to get power and wealth, like you said. So yeah, that's like, the dynamics were everyone was very cutthroat, I will say. I don't know if I would want to be part of the Gold family or not. They're very intense. Um, we do have some reader questions coming in, so I'm going to pop over there to that. Says, how soon in the story did Lisa know what was going to happen in the epilogue? Okay, so I don't know if that's spoilery question. We'll see. Yeah. So
Yeah,
yeah, they ask, how
I,
soon in the story did you know what was going to happen in the epilogue?
I think I actually wrote the epilogue first because I always knew what was going to happen there. So that was more of the story in my head when I started this than the rest of the book. So yeah, that was more of the starting point. The epilogue was originally a prologue. So but it was fun. It makes more sense where it is, so it doesn't give too much away. Speaking of
Gotcha.
spoilers.
Yes, I don't want to try not to do too many spoilers.
Yep.
And then another reader would like to know when is, I guess, and I don't know if you can, how much you're allowed to say about this. I don't want to get in trouble with editors or anyone else, but are you able to talk about the next book?
Oh yeah, I got the cover for it. Like I was telling you, it's on par with this one, which I love. I had to have blown up because I love this cover so much. And the next one does not disappoint. It's in that book is called Only the Dead Within, and it will be out. I believe it's also an August book, so August of next year. So
An equally creepy title as well.
yes.
I love those. Um, and this, I think a reader has a similar question to mine, but I'll go with theirs. She says, you picked a setting of a small town on the Lake Michigan shoreline. Are there any features of that landscape? Oh, it is a little. Are there any features of that landscape that you are looking forward to exploring in later books?
I would love that area. I've spent a lot of time in Saugatuck, and that's shoreline dunes and that kind of thing, and would love to explore that more in future books. But the cemetery is kind of where a lot of stuff continues to happen. So, but
Perfect
yeah,
spot for it.
not ruling out doing the sand dunes or the lake at in a future stories.
Yeah, they go. Yeah, I've heard about the sand dunes.
Yeah.
Um, so that kind of leads me into one of my questions. Gold Creek, it's very, with its haunting cemetery folklore, the urban legends, plays a significant role in the story. So, how did you go about setting up the town? Was the town inspired by one you had been to before? Um, and then I have a follow up question, but I will come back to that one.
Like Saugatuck, very similar. Saugatuck's more of a tourist town, but that kind of area where it's wealthier houses, that kind of you have the wealthy, then you have some of the the middle class homes, or poor, families living there too, but it's really kind of the enclave for wealthy people as
as
well. And
well.
that was kind of like what was inspiring me. And then I thought it would be, to have the town named after this family who is
Yeah.
so powerful was very important. And that's why I had to go with a fictional town to be able to do that. But I still did base it on an area I'm very familiar with. So.
No, it'd be crazy to have a town named after, like, I can never. Um, and so how do you think that contributes to the overall, like, like, moodiness and, like, spookiness of the novel?
I think it, having the power of this family where even the town's named after him, it puts the sheriff in a difficult position, because
Yeah.
he's investigating the death of one of them, but then the suspects are the rest of them. So he
Yeah.
was in a very difficult situation of, a kid coming up in the foster system. So he was definitely, a town of haves and haves not. He was definitely one of the haves not. And now he's investigating them. So that added that element of that kind of he's the sheriff and he's supposed to be law and order, but they put him in office. And why did they do that when he had relatively little experience for this job? It's having that dynamic in there where like I said, you don't know who to trust. So the sheriff himself is in that situation where he's kind of stuck. Okay, I got to investigate them, but are they manipulating me or controlling me?
Yeah.
Element to it. So that was definitely all figuring into the story and the dynamics.
No, that was definitely very tough position to be placed in. They're all all obviously angling for different things, and yeah, they're very manipulative. I was like, "Oh,
Mhm.
I would not want to be in his shoes." Um, so another reader asks, "How did you become inspired?" I think we kinda talked about this a little bit at the beginning, but if you wanna add anything to it, so
But this story was inspired by Lyle. His real name is Lyle McKinley, so I didn't even change his name that much for the book. But it was just this guy who used to dig the graves in the cemetery, and I just thought he was a fascinating character. He looked, um, you know, tall guy, had a glass eye, and just ornery. Never even had a funeral of his own because he said if you wanted to see him, you had to come see him when he was alive. So he was just a very interesting character that inspired this story. But other books, I have always just had a very vivid imagination. As seemed like the minute I could form sentences, I was writing books about the family dog, and then went into mysteries of kids being kidnapped, and I had all kinds of stories.
nice. I love the family dog. I love hearing, where authors start, like, their journey of writing, and, like, I feel like it'd be so much fun to read all of those, like, younger stories that you have to write in class or just things that you want to write for fun, and it's like, I feel like that's so sweet. I think it's such a fun thing to hear about. Another reader, I want to note because I also appreciated this. They said that they loved the family tree in the book. I was referencing it a few times. Like, there's so many of them. They're all in one home. But yes, I love. She said she wanted to shout out the family tree. I feel like that was a
Well,
very
I
good call.
I owe my editor for that one. Liz was like, my editor Elizabeth May was like, "You, I think we need a family tree to keep track of everybody." So my husband actually did up the dynamic. The we had
Oh,
to fit
the
everybody in, so we were trying to change the little boxes, and yeah, that was fun to put in there, and a lot of people seem to have enjoyed that.
um, and then another. This is a good question. So one reader says, "You're a new author to me. How many books do you have?"
Over 100. I've been doing this since my first published book came out in 2002. So if you look at my books or my website, I have a book list on there that's downloadable that has all the books in there. This is my what is it? My sixth book with Kensington, but I have had over 100 with Harlequin books.
Nice, yeah. No, I'm very excited. Um, so let me go. We have some more questions coming in, but I'm gonna focus on some of mine again. Um, so then I want to ask because it is Halloween week, which is crazy. I don't know how it got here. I feel like every year it just comes faster and faster. I'd love to know what your favorite Halloween candy is.
Oh,
Or you could, I'll
yeah.
give you two if you
It's
have.
yeah, it's definitely Special Dark, the Special Dark little Hershey bars. I
Oh,
love
yes.
dark chocolate. So it's torn between the Special Dark and the mints, the dark mints.
Okay. I'm also a dark chocolate person. I love the dark. Oh, it's one of my favorites. That's what I always choose. Now I can't have like having milk chocolate after eating dark chocolate for so
Yep.
long is I can't go back. I can't. They
Nope.
make the Reese cups in dark chocolate and stuff. It's like, oh, it's one of my favorites.
Oh, wow. I've tried that one. I'll have to
I
try
would
that.
would recommend. And then there's a few others. I could go on about dark chocolate. I don't know if we probably that'd be a whole other TED talk. But it is my favorite. And then one more Halloween question. Do you have a favorite or memorable Halloween costume that you've had?
Oh, I've had some. I'm trying to think. The last one, probably dressing up like one of the Golden Girls, that was
Oh, that's such a good costume.
yep.
That's such a fun. Oh, I bet that would be a good night.
Yep.
Any of them would be a hoot to be too.
Yeah, it
So
was Sophia.
I love that. I know. That's great. Okay, I won't derail us too much with Halloween. I do love Halloween. It's one of my favorite holidays. I have a family member who's also a Halloween baby, and he goes all out for Halloween. So it's like it's something in our family. I think we all love it. Talking about families again. So your novel explores the complicated relationships and rivalries. So how do you think, I think, and we've kind of touched on this a little bit more, but I'd like to kind of dive into it because it's such an important part of the book, or I think it was, is how do the tensions within the family amplify the mystery and the suspense? I feel like they're all going after each other, and I think that's so. I would love to just. I feel like I'm fascinated by the complicated relationships.
Well, what I love that Gregory Gold had such control over this family, and yeah, of course he used his
Hmm.
money and his power. I mean, his ex-wives continued to live in that house with his
Yeah.
current wife, and just that dynamic and their backbiting, and obviously they all agreed to this because he's financially controlling them, but they all resent it. But they almost seem to resent each other more, even though he's the one orchestrating this.
Yeah.
But so that was fun to play with, like how many, how would all these people get along in the same house, stuck in the same house? And then once he's gone and he was the one controlling them all, it's chaos after that,
Mhm.
as the
Seems like
story goes on.
yeah, it's like they're easier being mad at each other than mad at him.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, also I know the fact that the first two wives still, I was like, that would be no, thank you. I think I would. I mean, I don't. That's a very interesting dynamic. Um, and then I'd love to kind of dive more into River's decision to, like, what inspired you to write about a character coming home and after leaving this dynamic and then being forced back into it, and how she confronts those secrets and then like her father's death.
Well, she grew up in this household that was terrible, as
Mhm.
the daughter of the current wife. Everybody resented her the most, and she was kind of singled out and picked on. So she was very eager to get away from that town, and the last thing she wanted to do was expose her daughter to it, or even talk about it. So I love the relationship of mother and daughters. I was very close
Mhm.
to my mother and my grandmother, and I have two daughters of my own, and I love the dynamic. And at one point this has been referred to as Gothic Gilmore Girls.
I was wondering if that's where you were going. I was like, I
Yep,
could see
yep.
that.
And it's
Definitely
like,
Gilmore.
yeah, having that dynamic of she doesn't want to go back, and then but her daughter wants to go with her
Mhm.
because she wants to see this place that her mom hates so much. This is
Yeah.
River is a very positive person, and for her to hate a place and not like these people, has Sarah even more determined to go and meet everybody. And then, that understanding of, we have when we kind of see our parents as something other than our parent. I love
Yeah.
that realization where she has, and she finally, it kind of clicks of, you know, this is why she wanted to leave.
Mhm. No, I loved Sarah. I think Mabel also was a top favorite character because I wish I was Mabel. Um, but I loved how Sarah was so at once like pushing, like going through those I feel like that kind of like questioning things, but also so protective of her mother. I loved especially I loved Sarah, Mabel, and Rivers like dynamic. I think that was one of the three of them together
Yeah.
was.
Great. Well, they kind of grew, because that's where River went when she ran away with
Mhm.
her grandmother. So they were, growing up in this house. Sarah was growing up with her best friend was this, her great grandmother.
Yeah.
So I love that
Yeah.
dynamic. And I think that influenced, like, I had one reader had commented about, oh, she's not a typical teenager, and to me she was, because my daughters, I grew up spending a lot of time with my grandmother, so I always kind of had an older soul, and my mom helped me take care of my daughters when they were younger, so they also have that older soul to them where they just, they are more comfortable. Even as kids, they were more comfortable talking with adults than they were regular kids. I mean, they had friends
Mhm.
and everything, but they were always very comfortable around adults.
I have to say that's kind of how I spent a lot of time with specifically like my grandmother, but I spent so much time and I feel like you said, it kind of lends to that. And like, cause I'm like, oh yeah, of course she's like, she loves her. I don't know she's not her great grandmother, but she spends so much time with her. That it might like, yeah, of course she's going to be a little bit, I guess maybe not typical, but I
Mhm.
thought she was too. And she's angsty enough too. I think so.
Yeah, yeah.
Going through all of that and questioning and everything. And then, so we see there's some more reader questions. One reader would like to know how many books are, and this might be also something we may have to tiptoe around. I never know. I don't want to get in trouble with editors, like I said, but how many books are you planning for the series?
There's two right now. We're just kind of talking about my next project. So yeah, that's a tough one. We'll see.
Let's see.
I would love to hear from readers, hear how much they like the series, and if they would want it to go on and on, then we can,
Yeah. And then, to read. Oh, okay. Another reader'd like to know graveyards and mortuaries. I feel like I'm unable to say that word for some reason. Maybe more traditionally spooky. What setting location do you think might give off spooky vibes that might be unexpectedly that's not like is not typically spooky? Oh, that's a good question.
Well, it's fun because I just came off, the Bain Island series that I wrote,
Hmm.
my first series with Kensington, and those were set in a spa, which doesn't seem
Yeah,
super spooky, but then when you find
there's
out
plenty
that
of.
it was renovated from a psychiatric hospital for the, then I made this high-end spa became spooky because of its history.
Nice.
So
That's true.
that,
That's a good point.
yeah,
Yeah, there's plenty of weird stuff happening there.
yeah, the spa was very, high end, very well sought. Celebrities were on a waiting list to get in there, but then to the locals who knew its history, it was a completely different space, place. So that was
Hmm.
unexpected. Trying to think of, I have some ideas coming up. Wherever I go, I've always had a lot of lake houses, and that always seems like a great retreat. But my mind's, I'm always going, okay, we're out here fishing. What if a body floats to the surface? I always have all these
Weird
scenarios
mystery
going on.
brain.
Yeah, so I'm sure I will come up with some new places that people might think are nice, and I make spooky.
That's perfect. I feel like for me, anything if it's nighttime anywhere is suddenly spooky. I was like, if it's dark, I'm scared. So I'm like, I think anywhere for me. It's like I was thinking like a library at night would be terrifying.
Yeah.
As much as I love libraries, I would still be terrified. Which that kind of leads me into another question that we had, is about like where is hold on, what is the scariest type of building that you or home that was turned into hold on, let me rephrase this. What is the scariest type of house or building turned into a house that you could imagine living in? So because of like the mortuary, oh, it sounds so creepy. So I would sorry.
I would definitely think it would be the funeral home. That would
Hmm.
be the one that would, to me, be the spookiest. Some old churches that set off,
Yeah.
some vibes too. Those old stone churches. I've had those in
Hmm.
some books. And I've seen churches turned into houses. Old the spa in the Van
Hmm.
Allen books was the psychiatric hospital. So definitely something like that, and I think some
Yeah.
of those have been changed over into condos in some places when I was doing research on that. So it's interesting what different places will become. And if you watch any of this, they're on all the channels right now, all those shows about, spookiest places and
Hmm.
spookiest places in America. And, there's so many old hotels that are haunted or that were, jails that were turned into homes that, or hotels or something where people were living. So, yeah, a lot of spooky places.
Have you ever stayed in a haunted hotel?
um, Not that I
I
know
don't know.
of. No, not had a experience. I've had a couple houses where even this one that I recently moved into this year, there are things that doors that open and close that are a little strange.
I'd be like, I wish, and I would love to be someone who could stay at a haunted hotel. I don't think it could be me. I could maybe make it one night and then I'd be like, I gotta go somewhere else. I'm not getting any sleep. Which that kind of leads me into another question, a fun question we had is, do you believe in ghosts or anything? I feel like I'm a little stitious. That's what I always say. I'm like, I'm not going to say no. I just say I'm a little stitious, but I'm curious. Do you believe in ghosts?
Being the Halloween baby and kind of growing up with that dynamic and just always having that morbid curiosity. I just believe there are too many things that happen that you can't explain. I've had the
Yeah.
pictures, taken the pictures where you have the orbs in them, and just
Yeah.
had the experiences where it's like, yeah, there's something else here, definitely.
Yeah. It's like, I can't remember. I have a friend and she's like, I'm never going to say no because I don't want to, first of all, I don't want to make anything mad that's out there in the world. I'm like, that is a fair point. So that's why I'm like,
Yeah.
we'll never say no. I went on a haunted tour one time in Central Park, which I didn't think I would be creeped out by, but by the end of the evening, I was like, I think it's time to go home and watch like something cheerful on TV.
Go watch some Hallmark, huh?
Yeah, go watch something cozy. Let's see what other reader questions. We always get this question, so and I think is who are some of your go-to authors for that you read for pleasure?
I love Leanne Moriarty. I am like obsessed with her. I love Richard Osman's Thursday Murder Club with
Mhm.
the old people solving murders from their nursing home, which I
I like
see is
that's a
coming
great
out.
series.
It's going to be a Netflix
Yeah,
movie. I'm so excited. Um,
I know, I'm excited. That
yeah,
one's
I love those. I'm trying to think. Brenda Novak. There's so many. Lisa Jackson, Alexandra
mhm.
Ivy. Just yeah. I have a lot of go to. I have a huge to be read pile on my Kindle because I keep downloading and I'm like, oh, I've got a deadline. I can't read this yet, but I'm so
Yeah.
tempted.
Oh, I can't imagine. I know. I have enough trouble and I'm not trying. I'm not on deadline trying to keep up with my like I'm not gonna I tried to organize mine and then I'll go somewhere and I'll be like, oh, but what if I just had this book? And then I'm like, now I'm overwhelmed by
Yep.
choices. No, that's amazing. Do you I guess so do you mostly enjoy reading mystery novels? Is that like your favorite thing to read?
It depends on what mood I'm in. If I want something
Mhm.
lighter, if I've been writing something heavy, Abby Jimenez is also another one. I love her books.
Mhm.
Uh, Susan Elizabeth Phillips. I just read one of hers recently, like reread a old one of hers that was, she's so funny. Yeah, so it depends. I read everything. I've read YA. The young adult books. When my daughters were reading, I would, I would read them first just to go, okay, is this age appropriate?
Yeah. No, as a fellow mood reader, I know it's always hard when people ask like what my favorite thing to read. I'm like, well, in the winter I want to read fantasy, and in the
Yeah.
summer I want to read I want a variety of things. So
Yeah, and I had never read historical romances, and one of my friends is obsessed with them. She's like, "You got to
Mhm.
try one." So then I had my whole kick, like, and I read the whole Bridgerton series years ago, and I just devoured them. And it's like, so yeah, I will try anything, and if it's written well, I love it. So
Um, oh, I love this question from a reader. She says, "Your book features some powerful females. Which real life powerful females have inspired you?"
you were talking about grandmas, and my grandma
Mhm.
was this incredible. I'm the youngest of seven, and my mom was the second youngest of seven. So my grandparents were pretty old when I was little already, and my grandma had had a stroke, was half paralyzed, but still was so independent, lived alone, got around, did her just so fiercely independent no matter what struggles she faced. So she was
Mhm.
definitely always an inspiration to me that, she would keep going, and she loved reading. That was one thing. And she always crocheted, and she taught herself, because it was her right side that got paralyzed and she was
Mhm.
right-handed. So she taught herself how to do everything left-handed, and she was in her 70s at that time. And she lived with that stroke, I think, for like another 10 years. And she was just amazing and fiercely independent, and I just respected that so much, and just so inspired by her. And then, I mean, there's so many people, in history that you look at too. And writers like when I was, in high school, I saw Nora Roberts publishing
Mhm.
all the books and being so prolific. So that she's always inspired me too, to just want to write as many books as I can and reach as many readers as I can.
That's a great answer, and that's very amazing. I To teach yourself to go left-handed, like you said your grandmother did, that's very impressive. Like,
Yeah.
no, yeah, I love, yeah. My grandmother was one of my favorite people. So I like there's something about a grandma. She just,
Yeah. Hmm.
um. And then another reader wants to know, do you enjoy writing series or standalones more?
Yes, I write a
I
lot of
was
series.
I was gonna say, I was like, "Thank you, series."
I'm like, it must have I written standalones. I have written a
I was
few,
trying to
but
think through, and I was like, "I feel like they're all series." That's
yeah,
funny.
I've written like the novella that was in the anthology with Alexandra Ivy and Lisa Jackson was standalone. But it's like there are always characters I put into even the standalones where I'm like, I wish I could write, I should write their story.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's just probably coming from that big family dynamic. I always think of groups instead of singles.
Mhm. Nice. Is that kind of why I guess you had the multiple, POVs in the book?
Yes, the coming up as a Nora Roberts fan who,
Mhm.
switches POVs. I enjoy that. I like to be in other people's heads and know what everybody's thinking, to see it. See it from a different perspective too, to be
Mhm.
able to see, the same situation through River's eyes and see it through Sarah's and then see it through Fiona's. I do enjoy writing the different points of view.
Yeah. Do you I guess this is kind of a plotting question. Are you more how do you plot out your novels? And I'm always curious with mystery writers, if you ever are like halfway through writing the novel and think, "Oh, who I thought was originally the bad guy is not the bad guy anymore." Like, does that ever happen to you?
Oh, yes. The Bane Island series. From the very first book, I was convinced of who the killer was, and I was sure, sure, sure. I got to the third book in the series, because there's the
Mhm.
overall, each book has its own mystery, but then there's the overall mystery. And when I got to the third book, I was like, oh, that's the killer. And all the threads were there.
Mhm.
Everything, all the clues were there. And I had subconsciously put them in and was not even aware that I had done it till it clicked. And I was like, oh, okay.
You're like you're like, "Past me knew, but I didn't know."
Yep.
That's so crazy. That's such a wild, I love like, I'm so fascinated by, like, the story structure part and, like, how you come up with ideas, so I'm always like, "That's such a so curious." Did you have speaking on multiple point of views, did you have a favorite character that you liked writing through the most? And was there a character that maybe gave you a hard time, like, getting in their head?
Oh, in the, in the House by the Cemetery, I loved writing Sarah's point of view. It
Mhm.
was very easy for me to slip into. I had so much fun with Fiona's point of view because,
She's
yeah, she's just deliciously complicated, and I
Mhm.
enjoyed that. Um, River and Luke were actually probably the harder ones, because it's like they were such good people. So they were, there's they're not as complicated as the other characters. So River was put in a terrible situation, and Luke
Mhm.
was as well. But their conflict is kind of coming from outside them, where the other people are, there's this conflict within them. So yeah,
Sure, yeah, Fiona, reading her, I won't say anymore, but she is a complicated woman, I will say.
yeah,
I think that's a great way.
yes.
Which then that kind of leads into this reader question. Is there one character from The House by the Cemetery that you would like to write a sequel for, and or someone that you would like to follow that maybe we won't? Or is I don't know if that gives away too much for book two, so I don't
No,
know.
I can
Okay.
give it away now, because yeah, I had permission for that, because I have
Okay.
the cover,
Good.
and
I was like, I'm not getting in
I
trouble
should have
today.
printed this. Yeah, because Liz told me I can share the cover, so I'll have to put that
Okay,
up
perfect.
soon. But it's Noah,
Oh, okay.
yeah, River's brother Noah, the one
Yeah,
who
I'm very curious
maintains
to
the
see.
cemetery. So if anybody has seen the gravedigger's ghost, it would be him. So
Mhm. Oh, I'm very excited. Um, that's perfect. Let me go see. So one of my questions, and I don't have a high school nemesis, but I did have an elementary school nemesis, and I know my answer for this. But do you think you could work with your high school nemesis today? Why or why not? And it doesn't maybe to solve a mystery. I'll leave that up to you. Let's do it to solve it. Would you work with your high school nemesis to solve a mystery? If you have a high school nemesis.
yeah, I'm trying to think of anybody who would have been my high school nemesis, and I really can't think of
I know, I was like, I don't
anybody
think I have.
specifically, but I don't know. Like, I'm trying to think. Maybe a work nemesis I can remember.
We'll
Um,
go with work
yeah,
nemesis. We can do that.
yeah,
We'll do
yeah. I could to solve a mystery if there were lives at stake. Yeah, I
yeah.
could.
And I was like, I don't think I would want to. I have an elementary school nemesis. I don't think, which sounds so funny. Like I was like 7, and I was like, this person, I don't know about this person. So I don't know. We would have changed and grown. So I feel like maybe I could work with them.
You would hope they
You would hope.
matured from 7.
I would hope so. I would hope so. And I hope that I have. So one of the things we've kind of like talked about is the grave digger and I think I mentioned this earlier is being I am fascinated by urban legends, both terrified and fascinated. I watched Supernatural a bit growing up, and that was all of my key points of Bloody Mary and everything were terrifying for me. So I'm curious, the legend of the gravedigger who still works at the cemetery is a chilling aspect of the novel. Is and we kind of talked about who he's based on, but are there other urban legends that you maybe explore or that you create or explore later in the series? And then do you have a favorite urban legend?
I explored the grave digger legend a lot more in the next book. It
Okay.
definitely comes into play a lot more, and you get to know more of his backstory or
Mhm.
more about
Oh,
him.
sorry.
Um,
My dog just barked next. Sorry, so my dog is next door, and he just barked, and I don't think anyone else but me could hear him. I'm so sorry. He just scared me. Okay, sorry, continue.
yeah, no. So the Gravedigger's legend will be explored more. I'm trying to think of other urban legends. It's like I grew up, the youngest of seven, so Halloween baby, and I was always teased that a witch left me on the doorstep, and so
Oh,
kind of had our own family urban legends of that she's gonna come back for you one day, or
that's
yeah.
such an older sibling thing to say.
Yes,
I'm
yes.
oh, oh, man. Yeah, I could have said something like that to my sister probably if she oh, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, I remember taking my daughters to a funeral. One of my aunts had passed away, and they were little, being two sisters like you and your sister. And I remember the older one was telling the younger one that she was going to set up in the casket and grab her or stab her or something. It's like my youngest one was scared to go to funerals after that. And it's like,
Oh, the poor sister. Sisters are both amazing and sometimes very complicated.
yes.
No, that's um let's see. Oh, I'm always fascinated by these questions as well. It says another reader would like to know if The House by the Cemetery was made into a movie, who do you think would play Sarah and Fiona? And I really like maybe even River. I want to add River in there because
Okay.
it's always hard to like picture who like do you ever also I guess that kind of leads into when you're writing, how do you formulate the character? Like, do you have like a Pinterest board that you're like, oh, these are the models or actors that I would base them on, or do you just like,
They're
this
in
is
my
just what I've
head.
created in my head?
Yeah, they're in my head as their own people. So it's like hard for me to, they just like the characters, I can see them in my head. So I don't really
Mhm.
see them as actors. Um, Sarah, I would think would be like Lucy Hale,
Mm,
Little Liars, somebody like her, yeah, definitely Lucy Hale for her. Oh, Fiona. I mean, there's so many people
I'm
that would
trying to
have fun with her because she's not that old. She's 52. So I'm trying to think
yeah.
if I could see Jennifer Aniston pulling her off,
Oh, that would
I
be
could,
good. She's
yeah, I could see like her pulling her off because there's different, her and I love Jennifer Aniston in the Apple television series, I can't even
oh,
think of the name.
the news show.
Yeah, because I watched that with her and Reese Witherspoon.
Mhm.
I could see, I kind of see River as more like a younger Reese, or trying to think of somebody in that. Oh, like Blake Lively, or I could see
Okay.
River as, yeah, her, or uh, Amanda Siegfried or somebody.
Oh, that would be
Yeah.
yeah, be a good choice. I could see that. Consider like oh, but I do love Jennifer Aniston as that's a great choice because she does like she's so funny, but she's does serious so well. So
Well,
and then
yeah, and Fiona's so complicated because you don't know what's up with her, and I
yeah,
could
what
see.
she's doing. I know I
Yeah.
got my suspicion. Yeah. Um no, that's a great choice. And I like Lucy Hale. Yeah, I'm like trying to picture now
The
I'm like
morning show,
creating
somebody
casting in my head.
is.
I'm like, look through actors later and be like, okay, this is who I think. Um And then I think you mentioned some of your collaborations earlier, but it says a reader wants to know if you could do a collaboration project with anyone who would be on your list to ask.
Alexandra and Ivy. Alexandra, Ivy, and I have an idea for another project we would like to do. So, I mean, we've already kind of been talking. Um,
Easier.
Yeah, I love working with her. We had so much fun in that book. Just trying to think, like if I'm dreamless, Leanne Moriarty, I would love that. That would be so fun. I think working with a male writer would be interesting too, like James Patterson or the person who takes so much shelf space from me, like Lee Child. you know?
Like, this is a oh, no,
Yeah.
that would be good. No, that's a great question. I don't think we've ever had that one. So we talked about, so I lied. I had one more Halloween question. And now that I know you're Halloween baby, I'm gonna ask all my Halloween questions. Do you have, so for me, my fiance gets mad at me because he doesn't like rewatching movies. And I'm like, every year I have my set movies that I watch. I will say none of them are too spooky I don't think they're too spooky. But do you have favorite Halloween movies that you either rewatch or just love in general?
Oh, I am not. This cracks my husband up because I hate scary movies. I
Oh,
absolutely
really?
hate them. And he's like, "How can you write this stuff and you can't watch it?" Because I like if he's watching something and it's scary or suspenseful,
Mhm.
I have to run around the room. Like I can't sit there and watch it because I hate the surprise. I love
Mhm.
it. I know what's going to happen, but like the
Yeah.
spooky ones, I can't do. I do have to say, I love like the Knives Out movie because I
Those
like
are so good, yeah.
yeah, I like the ones that have that, bit of humor to them.
Mhm.
The any of those type as long as it has, some humor in it and it has a little bit of lightness, then, like 'cause, like, yeah, I could watch Knives Out over and over and over again.
No, those are such good movies.
Mhm.
I didn't know what to expect when Daniel Craig was I didn't even the detective that he is. I'm totally blanking on his name, but I do love those movies. I feel like similar to you, I don't write mysteries, but I will watching them, I can't do. But I love reading scary. Like I love reading gothic novels and I do read scarier books. I can't watch them. I the most I feel like the scariest thing I watch is I don't even watch that's not even that scary. It's Sleepy Hollow. I watched Sleepy Hollow, but I've seen that several times at this point. I feel like it's lost some of the scary elements. Mostly it's just gory, I think, at this point. But it's like I love like Practical Magic or
Oh, yeah,
Hocus
that was
Pocus, like
yeah,
very,
yeah.
very gentle Halloween
Mhm.
movies. So, oh, no, that is funny though. But yeah, prefer writing them. Um, and then, so let's see if there's any. I feel like I thought there were some more reader questions. Let me see, making sure I don't miss anyone. Um, so I kind of want to add on to a question a reader asked because I'm always curious about this. So they were asking about characters that you would want to write a sequel for, but I would love to know, is there a character from The House by the Cemetery that you would love to spend I wonder if it's Fiona, if you would love to spend a day with, like, if you could hang out with them all day, who would you choose?
Hmm. I would I love the little trio of, Sarah, Gigi, and Toby. I mean,
Mhm.
like, they would be entertaining. I've always loved, um, I had that house where all the kids hung out for my girls, and then I have 2
Mhm.
stepsons and their friends, so I went from raising boys to raising girls to raising boys, and it's just so fun, that different dynamic between their friends. So I love that friendship with the kids, and so I think they would be fun just to watch and listen to their stories and how they play off against each other. I would it would have to be Mabel though if I
Oh,
was going
really? Oh,
out, because
nice.
I think Mabel would be a she'd be a fun hang.
I do too. I feel like I think I said this earlier, but I was like, there's something about her and like I want to say her energy, I guess, but just like reading through her, I was like, she seems fun. Like I said, she's who I would want to be. I want to be that I feel like I don't know. I really liked her character a lot.
She's blunt. I like that because
Yes.
what she says what she's thinking.
Yes, I was like, I wish I'm like not always that confident, so I wish I had that confidence to be that direct. I love that about her. Um, oh, and then this is a very oft not book related question, but I'm very curious. Reader would like to know, are you a cat person, dog person, both, or neither?
Cat, cat, and
Cats.
I had a black cat. I mean, Halloween baby again, and this black cat came out of several houses ago. Came out of woods next the house, and just she chose me. And I had her
They
for
do. That's
17 years. Yep, I had her for 17 years. Best cat I ever had, and lost her last year. But she was my writing
okay.
buddy. I mean, she would be, in the chair with me. If I was going doing editing on the couch, she was my scarf. She would just wrap
Oh.
around me, and just a sweet, sweet, sweet cat. Yeah, definitely cat person. I've had dogs. I've had a German Shepherd I loved to pieces. He was such a good dog, so good with the girls. But
Mhm.
yeah, I have allergies though, and it's like I kind of was immune to Izzy because I had her so long, but now I
Yeah.
struggle when I'm near them. So I'm like, I don't know if I could do. Maybe I would have to do a hairless cat, I think.
Yeah, to swap up. That's true.
Yep.
I know. I was like, yeah, because I have a dog and I feel like I'm around him now all the time, so it's not as bad. But sometimes, yeah, I get the allergies. They'll pop up and they're just like so rude.
Yeah.
Oh, but that's such a sweet. I love that she was your writing buddy. I think that's
Yeah.
cute.
Yeah. I know. I mean, the first book I wrote without her, I'm like, oh, I don't know if I could do this, but I did
Yeah.
it. But it was tough because she was with me. She was my shadow.
That's so sweet. Um, And then I'm curious, because I always want to know, especially with mystery authors. I think Lauren has asked this in the past, but first, in the non-scary mystery way, are any of the characters based on like people that do you ever incorporate people in your life into your books? And then do you ever put people that you may not like as much in your books?
How, um,
I'm gonna put that. I was like, it's like I feel like some people name characters after people that they don't like.
I I've known so many people and have so many people in my family, and it's interesting because I had a family wedding this past weekend, so all my siblings were in town, and one of my late brother-in-laws now had said, of the seven of you, not one of you is alike. So even with my siblings, we all had such different personalities. So I love kind of putting different pieces of people I know, in my daughters are such characters, and my stepsons. So it is fun to incorporate little pieces of their personality.
Yeah.
Sarah's definitely a lot like my daughters, just their personalities. So, and Fiona, I've known a few Fionas that, you're they're kind of they like to be underestimated.
Mhm.
Yeah, they will do that. So I've definitely known a few Fionas that were a lot cleverer than you realize. So
Yeah. Like, don't underestimate her. She is
yeah.
it's like, the more I was reading through her preview, I was like, "Oh, you are not to be messed with." Like, I would I would not but you would never know. She's very good at what she's doing, I will say. I don't think there was let's see. And then I guess so I know you said you mostly that you read like a variety of books. Is there a genre of or like what do you love most about writing mystery books? There's my question.
Oh, I am obsessed with watching mysteries, and I love the midsummer murder mysteries. So I like that environment. I like that gothic element, and then I like having a lot of suspects. I like having a lot of characters, because that's real
Mhm,
life. We all come into contact with more than, and to have a good suspect pool, you got to have a lot of characters. So I
mhm.
always kind of go off, thinking that midsummer with the quirky characters, and kind of going back to the last question about, do I put people I know in there, like the funeral home groupies, being of some of the youngest of my generation, and my parents, other siblings and grandmas, passing, and having been to all these funerals when I was young. And you see the same group of ladies that there was this group of ladies that were all widows that would kind of hit every funeral, no matter how well they knew the person who passed away, and
Yeah,
it was like they were checking out the place. So it's just that kind of element of the different characters and that you can put into a mystery. Because I write a lot of romances, and you have the romances, and you have the dashing hero and the
Mhm.
pretty female, and with mysteries, and you have this wider cast of characters that you can include a lot more quirky characters. So I think that's one of the reasons I enjoy writing them so much.
And would you say, because we were kind of talking about the writing series earlier, is that why you love writing series as well, would you say? Like, is that what kind of connects to like your interest in writing series?
Yeah, I like having. I always have. Having grown up in a big family, always having a big group around. I see that element with other people. You have lots of friends. I've done. If you do one family member, it's like I kind of want another family member to get their story. Uh, a lot of times you'll have a character that just totally steals a book that you kind of didn't see them stealing a book.
Mhm.
In the Bain Island series, I had the boarding house ladies that were scene stealers for sure. But the reporter that came in, the first two books kind of stole a lot of the book for me. So when those characters come into the first story, and it's like they're kind of demanding their own book. So I want to continue the series to write their story.
Like they're like, I will be heard. You will pay
Yep.
attention to me, and I will have my book. Thank you very
Yep. Yep.
much.
Exactly.
So we have we have some reader comments. One reader would love to know, what is your favorite thing to do besides reading and writing?
Oh, I have gotten into hiking. We moved to
Oh,
this area that has all this state parks, and there's all
mhm.
the hiking trails. And I wouldn't say a runner. I would say I'm a very slow jogger. So I love doing that because it's called plotting with the D's and plotting. So I'm always thinking up stories as I'm slowly jogging along. So I do, yeah, I jog a lot and I hike, and we're off a lake, so we do a lot of. I drive the boat. My husband fishes, and I love doing that. Yeah, hanging out with family. We have a lot of get-togethers with family, and yeah, those are the things I think I enjoy in my downtime. In my downtime when I'm not working on deadlines.
Yeah, on the books, yeah. Do you have a favorite park you've ever been to, like a national park? I also love going hiking. Well, I want to do more hiking, but I do enjoy it when I go. So I'm always curious.
Oh, we just recently got into it. We were down in West Virginia. I don't know the name of the park. I can't think of it. But the
It's
mountains there was
gorgeous.
gorgeous.
Yeah.
We did my daughter, my younger daughter, we just moved her to Salt Lake this summer, Salt Lake City. And oh, those parks were gorgeous. And
There's nothing like that's
yeah,
yeah. I feel
yeah.
like I was in Utah and we were in, I think, Zion National Park, and the guide was like telling us like about the history, and he said someone had painted it and then gone to maybe like a world fair. So I'm probably not fully accurate. It's been a few years, but took it to like a world fair, and everyone's like, "Oh no, this doesn't exist." And then you go there, and you're like, "Oh, I see why," because it's
Mhm.
almost unbelievably gorgeous, and you're like, it. You can never like no photo captures it like it should be. So yeah,
Yeah,
it's gorgeous out there.
it's a beautiful area. We're definitely going back and exploring it even more. But yeah, I love mountains. Any park in a mountain. I enjoyed enjoy Central Park when
Yeah.
I go too because it's so pretty with all the trees and ponds and everything.
It's so easy. I love going there because it's so easy to get like if I'm in the like center of it, I can almost forget that I'm in New York. I love New York City, but I can forget that I'm in the middle of a giant city for just like a few minutes. And then another reader would love to know, what do you think would be the hardest genre for you to write?
Historical romance. Oh
Oh,
man, I just that would be a real tough one for me because you got to get everything so accurate. The
yeah, there's so many details.
Yeah, I have so much respect for the historical writers because there's so many details and things you don't think about, like
Mhm.
yeah, all the things we have now that you didn't have then that you used to, you know, advance a story. You know, you can't have somebody call somebody on their cell phone. They got to send a letter. You know? It's like,
They have to do the whole process. I know. I hear about. I'm like, now that you point out, like, yeah, there's so many things you don't think about, just small things too, or like dresses. I'd be
mhm.
like, I don't know. It goes into so much research into just what they wear.
Yes,
It's
it would be. It would be so much research, and I enjoy doing research, but I enjoy doing research in like funeral homes and body
very different
embalming, and
research.
how to make a bomb. I mean, the FBI's got to probably be watching my
Like
computer history, but
ever write in your like search, I'm like, I'm researching for a book. This is
yeah.
please don't find me. So we're almost at the end. I want to ask one question because I know our readers, a lot of them either might be looking into writing or getting into it. Is there any advice that you wish you had known or wish you could give to your younger, like writing self?
And I started trying to get published. I was only 15 years old, and it was just, but I did research. I got back then we didn't have as much on the internet as we have now. We had it, but there wasn't as much available online. So I was going to the library. I was getting the Writer's Digest books, looking up how to submit. There's so much information available now, so many resources to look up what publishers are looking for, read the books that they're publishing, read what they're looking for, and then write. Everybody tells me, oh, I want to write this book. I have this idea for a book. I have that idea for a book. Write it. That's the thing. You can't get a book published if you don't finish it. That's the biggest advice is kind of sit in your chair and get it done. I believe anybody can write. You just having the discipline to finish it
Yeah,
is the
do it.
biggest thing.
Well, thank you so much for joining us this evening, getting us even more excited for Halloween. And thank you to the readers for all of your questions. And I hope everyone has a great night. So.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.